From beggar to businessman, a story of transformation. At a city railway station, there lived a beggar who survived by asking for alms from passengers on arriving and departing trains. One day, as he was going about his usual routine of begging, he noticed a tall man dressed in a sharp suit. The beggar thought to himself, "This man looks very rich. If I ask him for money, he might give me a good amount." So the beggar approached the tall man and asked for alms. The tall man looked at him and said, "You're always asking others for something. Do you ever give anything to anyone?" The beggar replied, "Sir, I am just a beggar. I only ask others. I don't have the means to give anything to anyone." The tall man said, "If you can't give anything, then you don't have the right to ask either. I'm a businessman, and I believe in give and take. If you have something to give me in return, only then will I give you something." Saying this, the tall man boarded the train and left. Those words struck deep in the beggar's heart. He kept thinking about what the man had said. It dawned on him that perhaps people didn't give him much because he offered nothing in return. But he was just a beggar. What could he possibly give? He pondered this for 2 days, trying to figure out what he, a poor beggar, could offer others. On the 3rd day, as he sat near the station, he noticed some flowers blooming around the railway premises. An idea struck him. What if I offer flowers in return for alms? He liked the thought and plucked a few flowers. That day, when he went to the train to ask for alms, he gave a flower to everyone who gave him money. People smiled, took the flowers, and happily kept them. From that day on, it became his routine. He would collect flowers every morning and offer them to those who gave him alms. Soon he noticed that more and more people were willing to give him money, as they felt they were receiving something beautiful in return. But on days when his flowers ran out, people stopped giving him alms. This clearly showed him that people were now giving not just out of sympathy, but as an exchange. One day, while he was going about his new routine, he noticed the same tall man from before on a train. Excitedly, he approached him and said, "Sir, today I have something to offer you. If you give me alms, I'll give you these flowers in return." The tall man gave him some money, and the beggar handed him a few flowers. The man smiled and said, "Wow, this is wonderful. Today you are no longer a beggar. You've become a businessman, just like me." He got off the train, but once again, his words deeply touched the beggar's heart. He couldn't stop thinking about it and felt an immense sense of joy and pride. His eyes sparkled, and he suddenly felt like he had discovered the key to success. He jumped off the train, looked up to the sky, and shouted with enthusiasm, "I am not a beggar anymore. I am a businessman. I can be rich too." People around him thought he had gone mad, and from the next day onwards, that beggar was never seen at the station again. 6 months later, at the same railway station, 2 men dressed in fine suits were traveling. They looked at each other, and one extended his hand and said, "Do you recognize me?" The second man replied, "No, I don't think we've met before." The first man smiled and said, "Oh, we have. Not once, but twice before, right here on this train." The second man was confused and said, "I don't remember. When did we meet before?" The first man said, "I'm the same beggar whom you once told what to do in life. And the second time, you helped me realize who I really was." Now surprised, the second man exclaimed, "Oh, I remember now. You're the beggar I once refused to give alms to, and the next time, I bought flowers from you. But today, what are you doing in a suit? Where are you off to?" The first man smiled and said, "Yes, I was that beggar. But today I am a successful flower businessman, and I'm going to another city for work." He continued, "You see, during our first meeting, you taught me nature's rule, that we only receive when we give. This give and take principle truly works. I applied it and saw real change. But still, I used to think of myself as a beggar. I had not seen myself beyond that. Then during our second meeting, you made me realize that I was no longer a beggar. I had become a trader. That changed everything. I finally understood why people were giving me money. It wasn't charity. They were paying for the flowers. I wasn't begging, I was selling something of value. I just hadn't seen it that way before. With the money I earned selling flowers on the train, I bought more flowers and started a business. People here love flowers, And that love turned me from a street beggar into a successful entrepreneur. Both men smiled, shook hands again, and continued their journey, talking about business and life.